Alright, so today I'm talking about Season 1, Episode 8, Confidence Man. This is the first Sawyer flashback episode. And just again, honestly, this is just another solid episode. Like I said, it really hasn't slowed down at any point yet so far. 8 episodes into it, and it's still going pretty strong. I can't. It's not like I can think of anything really negative to say about this. I've been talking about how these episodes transition into each other, so I'll keep doing that. Obviously, last episode there was a little bit of Sawyer, but a big part of this transition between the episodes is the transceiver, which is like I love this little plot detail, especially like with context of later on in the season. Because Sayid goes to Locke and asks Locke, where were you when I was getting knocked out? And Locke was like, I was, killing a boar, cleaning it for food. You ate that last night. That's my alibi. And Sayid's like, okay. And then Locke just completely throws Sawyer under the bus. And I don't know. I just love that when later on in this season we find out that it was Locke who knocked out Sayid, and he admits to that. It just really kind of shows you how in this island Locke really does have his own agenda. He has no qualms throwing Sawyer under the bus for pretty much no reason. He hasn't beefed with Sawyer. Sawyer's pissed off a lot of people on this island, but Locke has not been one of them at this point. And Locke has already pretty much cleared himself of suspicion on Sayid's part. I guess his intent is to just, distract Sayid, to push that anger Sayid has towards anyone, so that, the more Sayid investigates, the closer he might get to finding out that it was Locke. I guess. He just picked, I gotta blame someone for this. I'll just blame the person that seems like we like the least. I don't know. I just really like that Locke does this. It's not a great thing to do, but I don't know. So obviously, the whole transceiver thing, that's a big part of transitioning in between episodes. And again, transitioning into the next episode, which is Sayid's flashback episode and his centric episode. That's very much, it's very clear transition. It's probably the most blatant transition as to this is what we're going to be dealing with next, because this episode literally ends with Sayid saying I'm out of here. I'm going on a side quest. Have fun golfing while I'm getting tortured, because that's what's up next in the next episode. But yeah, specifically on this episode, again, this was a solid episode. There was some good emotional, impact there with Sawyer's story. It's interesting that when I think about some of Sawyer's flashbacks episodes, they're kind of, a lot of them don't really matter all that much. This flashback was really almost kind of pointless. This wasn't any information that we really needed, except for the bait and switch. Obviously the bait and switch is you hear the letter, and they want the audience to assume that Sawyer is the con man who made some poor kid's parents, die, and now this kid's out looking for revenge for Sawyer or whatever. That's the bait and switch they want to do. And so they're doing a flashback of him doing this to a couple, making you think that this is the couple that the kid wrote the letter for. So the whole flashback is pointless just for the setup, just for that twist at the end, that Sawyer was the kid who wrote the letter. His parents were the parents that died. from the con man. So it was kind of a pointless flashback episode. I mean, this isn't like vital Sawyer stuff. I feel like Sawyer might have a couple flashback episodes that aren't as meaningful, but I mean, anyway. But again, it's still just like continuing these characters. Like I said before, the thing that I like so much about all these characters is that deep down they're all good people, and I think that does establish this in a little way, that deep down Sawyer is a good person. It's just really deep down. And it also establishes the second thing about these characters is that they're all really broken. Maybe some people arguably are more broken than others, but they're all broken. They've all got shit that they got to deal with. And Sawyer is no exception. Sawyer and Locke have like arguably the most dynamic changes in characters throughout the show, which is why they're probably I'm losing my balance here. Which is probably why they're two favorite characters, two well-liked characters. I mean, I feel like a part of why Sawyer is so liked is because he's a handsome man, but whatever. But still, Sawyer has a very good story arc throughout the season, just like Locke does. You had a little subplot throughout the episode of Charlie trying to find peanut butter for Claire. This is completely irrelevant to this, in a way, but like yesterday, I just sat through 3.5 hours of Two Towers in theaters, and today I just sat through 4 hours and 10 minutes of Return of the King in theaters. So I've almost reached my limit of Dominic Monaghan at this point, but like not really. It's just funny that. And yesterday was The Moth too, so it just kind of, it's been a lot of that. And I didn't even mention like the whole main storyline is the asthma that Shannon has, and Boone is convinced that Sawyer has the inhaler, and Sawyer doesn't deny this. Sawyer admits this basically, even though he doesn't, which is ridiculous. I would also like to mention, I don't know what the plan was for season 1, because they obviously had stuff mapped out, right? So I'm sitting here wondering if there were some aspects of some characters that they didn't pre-plan out, right? Because I'm watching this episode. I'm 8 episodes into the show, and Boone and Shannon still seem like a completely normal brother-sister pairing. So I don't know at what point they decided to derail that. If that was something that they had planned from the get-go, or if they switched things up when they started writing Hearts and Minds. I don't know. I would be curious about that. Also, I'm going to talk more about Sayid in the next episode. I just thought it was an interesting, almost like parallel. Maybe I don't want to say parallel because it's kind of not. But you see Charlie in this episode, and Charlie's like a couple days off of kicking heroin, and Sayid's whole thing is he doesn't want to torture and hurt people anymore. He's been on this island for 8-10 days, and he jumps at the first chance to torture Sawyer, threatens to cut out Sawyer's eye and almost kills Sawyer. Charlie's over there beating heroin, kicking his heroin habit in one day. I mean, obviously that plays into Sayid's character. I'm not knocking Sayid or anything. It's just something that I noticed that, again, maybe you push the whole torture storyline a little further into the episode. I mean, a little further into the season to make it seem like, he held out a little bit more than he did, instead of it almost seeming like he jumped at the first opportunity to torture somebody. So again, maybe that's a minor thing. Like I mentioned with Moth, maybe a little bit of pacing problems. But they want to do something for Sayid. They need to establish Sayid. I understand from a story perspective. You need a Sayid episode. You need to introduce Rousseau in the next episode as well. I get it. It's not like a fault or really even a criticism at all, but just a thought I had was seeing, how normal and happy Charlie seems in this episode, despite the fact that he should be detoxing at this point still, right? I don't know how that works. I've never been addicted to heroin, believe it or not, so I don't have that reference. Even though that's not even like it's something they talk about, is that I remember this from the commentary or something, maybe, is that they were talking about their decision for heroin. It was like heroin, you inject it, but he's snorting this, it's just brown sugar that he's not even snorting it, he's just eating it, I think. I just remember them saying that's not how heroin worked at all. I don't know why they couldn't have just maybe done a different drug. Are there drugs that you just eat? I honestly don't remember if he just eats the heroin or if he snorts it. I mean, if you snorted heroin, would that get you high? I feel like it probably wouldn't be good. Snorting anything usually isn't good. Even if it's not a drug, you see people snorting pixie dust, and it's nosebleed from it. I mean, I don't know. And, yeah. I almost said a Daily Half-Life 3 update, but... So yeah, next episode is Solitary, Sayid's first flashback episode. And I will see you guys next time.